Complications of persistent hypertension. Over a period of years, hypertension that is not controlled can cause severe health complications such as neurological problems, metabolic diseases, and organ failure, which may be life-threatening. Artery damage. Hypertension damages, hardens and narrows your arteries, which compels the heart to work harder to pump blood through the body. This may eventually lead to heart failure. Blindness. Damage to the blood vessels in the eyes is a complication of hypertension that can lead to blindness. Kidney failure. Hypertension can damage or constrict the blood vessels that serve the kidneys and cause complications such as kidney damage or failure. Metabolic syndrome. Hypertension increases your risk of developing a condition called metabolic syndrome, which causes problems with metabolism that can later develop into chronic disease such as diabetes. Memory loss. Memory loss, confusion, and lack of clarity in communicating with others are neurological complications of hypertension. Stroke. Hypertension can cause a blood clot to develop in the brain, which may either burst or block an artery and result in a life-threatening stroke. Hypertension is also labeled as a silent killer because it often causes no symptoms for many years, even decades, until it finally damages certain critical organs, and is a leading cause of chronic renal failure. Even moderate elevation of arterial blood pressure leads to shortened life expectancy. At severely high pressures, defined as mean arterial pressures, 50% or more above average, a person can expect to live no more than a few years unless appropriately treated. Beginning at a systolic pressure of 120 mm of mercury and a diastolic pressure of 80 mm of mercury, cardiovascular disease risk doubles for each increment of 20/10 mm of mercury. In the past, most attention was paid to diastolic pressure, but nowadays it is recognized that both high systolic pressure and high pulse pressure are also risk factors. Pulse pressure means the numerical difference between systolic and diastolic pressures. In some cases, it appears that a decrease in excessive diastolic pressure can actually increase risk, probably due to the increased difference between systolic and diastolic pressures. Isolated systolic hypertension is a systolic pressure that is above 140 mm of mercury with a diastolic pressure that still is below 90. This disorder primarily affects older people, is associated with a 2 to 4 times increased future risk of an enlarged heart, a heart attack, a stroke, and death from heart disease